Cold open, take one. Joe, I understand that you had some problems keeping track of who was in which relationship in this movie.
Yeah, I had to keep looking at the cast list and read it, and almost resorted to a corkboard and yarn.
Is that because all white people look the same to you?
Not everyone in this movie is white, George.
But everyone that matters is. We watch Chitwell Ejiofor get married to Keira Knightley, and for the rest of the movie watch her and his white best friend barreled towards an eventual affair. The only other black person is Chris Marshall's best friend Abdul Salas, who rightfully tries to dissuade his pal from going to America under the assumption that he'll be a chick magnet, only to have that magnet bring a chick back for him too.
You may have a point. Welcome to Does This Still Work? The podcast looks at old movies and asks, does this still work? I'm Joe Dixon.
And I'm George Romaka. And today we're discussing Love, Actually, from 2003, and some historical context. First, podcasty stuff. We're excited to announce that we've joined the Creator Accountability Network. CAN is a nonprofit dedicated to reducing harassment and abuse through ethical education and a system of restorative accountability. We joined because we care about the safety and well-being of our community members. If you feel our behavior or content has harmed someone, please report it to CAN, either via the reporting form on their website, creatoraccountabilitynetwork.org, or via their hotline at 617-249-4255. They'll help us make it right and avoid repeating that mistake in the future. CAN also needs volunteers from our communities to help with their work, so if you have skills you think would be helpful, or time and a desire to help, please visit their website to find out how you can volunteer. Most importantly, get the word out to other creators who you think would be interested in getting credentialed. Help us build safer communities together. You can reach us at ttswpod@gmail.com, on Facebook, Letterboxd, and on our YouTube channel. Joe's on Blue Sky at joedixon.bsky.social. Please tell your friends about us. Even and, I don't know, maybe especially the ones that are like the leader of the sixth largest economy in the world. And leave 5-star ratings everywhere. You can pick what we watch and get extra per episode content by funding us on Patreon for as little as $1 a month at patreon.com/dtswpod.
Now, George, take us back to 2003.
And this is the way it was.
One of the characters in this stew of tropes is the Prime Minister of England. So who was the actual Prime Minister in 2003? That would be Tony Blair. He became Prime Minister in 1997. And I say became because Britain does things differently than we do in the US. Was he elected? Kinda. Was he appointed?
Really?
Well, was he appointed? Also kind of. The Prime Minister has been a thing since around 1721, and how one was chosen has evolved over time. Nowadays, the leader of a party winning the majority in the House of Commons will be invited by the monarch to form a new government and serve as its Prime Minister. That's like if you were the chair of the Republican National Convention and Republicans won a majority in the House of Representatives, that would make you the president.
I thought it was closer to like if you were Speaker of the House. Like if all these...
something like that, yeah. Yeah. Blair was the second youngest ever Prime Minister. His Labour Party won the majority in 3 consecutive elections, 97, 2001, and 2005, and he was its leader, so he served. As world leaders go, Blair wasn't the worst. On one hand, he increased spending on education and healthcare, expanded LGBT rights, and enacted a minimum wage. On the other, he's a free market capitalist who pulled the Labour Party into centrism for the sake of electability.
Oh, and you're also forgetting one other thing. Very important. He was, as the saying goes back in 2003, he was George Bush's poodle. Whatever the U.S. wanted, he wanted it too. And that's how they got into the war.
Yep.
In Iraq.
Now, the President of the United States also makes an appearance, played by Billy Bob Thornton. He's characterized in the movie as an articulate, womanizing bully.
Yeah, basically a Bill Clinton type character.
But better looking.
Okay.
You had to think about it for a second, but yeah.
I don't know. I think Billy Bob Thornton and Bill Clinton are on the same level of attractiveness, really.
Well, the actual president of the United States in 2003 was, as Joe mentioned, George W. Bush. Unlike Tony Blair, Bush was in the running for the worst. Every Republican president since Nixon is in that bucket, each having paved the way to what we have now, which is objectively the worst. At least, the worst so far.
God, can you imagine it could be worse than what we got now?
I can now.
Something worse than Trump. Lord have mercy. I hope I'm dead by then.
Now, what was going on in London with regards to Christmas in 2003? Because this is, and I didn't know this or I'd have scheduled it to drop a few weeks sooner, a Christmas movie. Joe, give us a headline from The Independent of London, England.
The toxic shock of festive whimsy.
A guy by the name of Thomas Sutcliffe goes off on what he describes as, and I'm quoting, the misconceived acts of generosity which television schedulers seem to feel are obligatory in the weeks leading up the Christmas.
Well, first of all, his name is very British, and that sentence is very British.
Well, I mean, yes, it was written just like I read it, and I don't know if the substitution of the for to is a typo or an artifact of British English. The characteristics binding those things, and I'm quoting again, unusual bulk, almost toxic amounts of whimsy, a light sprinkling of the supernatural, religion for an essentially secular age, and a finish sweeter than Harvey's Bristol cream. Now, I don't know what Harvey's Bristol cream is, but I'd taken more than my fair share of mouthfuls of whipped cream straight from the can, so I'd imagine it's like that.
Sure, why not?
So there was Born and Bred, which was about Santa-clad bank robbers and involved finding out that two sisters who ran a post office were lesbian lovers, the revelation of which Sutcliffe describes as something of a sideswipe in this context, a bit like finding a nipple clamp in the Christmas pudding.
Okay.
Which is an amazing sentence. I was flabbergasted. That's beautiful.
So I presume there was a British show called Born and Bred?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's describing it. The next show was Where the Heart Is, which, like our movie, was a mismatch of scenarios. Some, like ectopic pregnancy, were actual dramatic, but all of which were tidily resolved by the time the credits rolled.
How do you resolve ectopic pregnancy?
With a miracle, Joe. That's what I would assume.
Okay.
Ectopic pregnancy, for those who don't know, is when an egg gets fertilized in a fallopian tube and stays there.
Yes, but you can't abort because that would be murder.
Worst timeline. The worst. He makes mention of Stephen Fry's quiz show QI, which I guess is key, which he described as surprisingly bearable despite having all kinds of holiday theminess where it usually wouldn't be.
I have to say, we've seen QI. I don't know if you remember. I was over at your house once and we were looking at British shows that I liked, and I put up QI. You were not too impressed by it.
I guess not.
It's a British panel show where a bunch of comedians sit around and ask tough quiz-like type questions. It's actually very entertaining. I want to say I'm surprised there isn't an American version, but an American version would probably be very bad.
Yes. Just like the American version of Britain that we started by fighting an independence war.
Is that we're in the American version of Britain? I
mean, we started as British. This country started as a colony of Britain.
I see what you're saying. I thought you meant modern day. You just meant our very founding.
I mean, our founding was rotten.
True.
But
okay.
I mean, I'm preaching to the choir almost certainly, but the founding fathers enshrined the idea that some humans were greater than others at the same time as they said all men are created equal.
Yes, and then they turned over to their wives and said, you don't get the vote!
Yep. Okay, Joe, let's talk about Love, Actually.
Love, Actually. All right. This was written and directed by Richard Curtis. And we've seen his screenplay for Four Weddings and a Funeral and Bean for the podcast. And also seen his writing work in War Horse.
And I've seen his writing in Notting Hill.
Blurbs. IMDb says, follows the lives of 4 very different couples in dealing with their love lives and various loosely interrelated tales, all set during a frantic month before Christmas in London, England. YouTube says, funny, irresistible, and heartwarming. Love Actually is the ultimate romantic comedy that follows 8 couples whose lives intersect shortly before Christmas. From the makers of Bridget Jones' Diary and Notting Hill, this beloved film is headlined by an incredible roster of stars, including Hugh Grant, Liam Neeson, Colin Firth, Laura Linney, Emma Thompson, Alan Rickman, Keira Knightley, Rowan Atkinson, and more. Take a breathtaking tour of love's delightful twists and turns as you fall under the spell of Love Actually, and share laughs and charm again and again. Whew, okay.
That was a lot.
That was a lot, and I disagree with most of it, but we'll get it.
I gotta ask into anything that's like the ultimate anything.
Here are some of the characters will be discussed. There's David, the Prime Minister, and he's played by Hugh Grant. For the podcast, we saw him 4 Weddings and a Funeral. And we both seen him in Glass Onion. And I've seen him in Paddington 2, Paddington in Peru. That's 2 different films, folks. The Gentleman, Small Time Crooks, and Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves.
And I've seen him in Notting Hill.
Natalie, the worker David is hot for, is played by Martine McCutcheon. Daniel, the guy whose wife has died, is played by Liam Neeson. Both George and I have seen him in The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, and Schindler's List. I've seen him in The Naked Gun, the 2025 version, Widows, A Million Ways to Die in the West, Ted 2, and Taken.
And I've seen him in Gangs of New York, Rob Roy, Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and Wardrobe, and The Dark Knight Rises.
What is a Rob Roy? It's a drink, isn't it? I mean, I know it's a real person, but it's also a drink.
It could be.
No, it definitely is. I just can't remember what it's made of. I mean, maybe I'll have a Rob Roy tonight. I'm going out tonight. I haven't had a drink in a while. And when I'm out, you know me, George, I like to party. Anyway, back to the script.
You are a famous drunk. I
am a famous drunk. Billy Mack is the aging rock star, and he's played by Bill Nye, not the science guy.
Right? Well, I just think that's weird. Like, it's so close, like, pronunciation-wise.
It is. I've seen him in The World's End and Hot Fuzz.
And I'm apparently a fucking fan. Because I've seen him in Shaun of the Dead, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest, Pirates of the Caribbean, At World's End, and Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1.
And yet, if I showed you any of these pictures, you won't remember which one he is in it. Where is he again? I can't remember. But I know.
Well, I definitely remember him in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, although his name is not important.
Okay.
And in Pirates of the Caribbean movies, he was Davy Jones.
Oh, okay. Joe, that's Bill's manager, is played by Gregor Fisher. Jamie, the rider who falls for his housekeeper, is played by Colin Firth. And I've seen him in Kingsman, The Secret Service, Rye Lane, and 1917. Karen, the sister of the Prime Minister, friend to Daniel, and wife to Alan Rickman's character, is played by Emma Thompson. And we just seen her for the podcast in Stranger Than Fiction. And I've seen her in Junior.
And I've seen him in I Am Legend, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, and Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix.
Harry, the husband of Karen, boss to Laura Linney's character, and adulterer, is played by Alan Rickman.
Well, aspiring adulterer.
Aspiring adulterer, excuse me. Is played by Alan Rickman. And for the podcast, we've seen him in Die Hard and Dogma.
And I've seen him in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, Galaxy Quest, all of the Harry Potter movies, and Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Actually, I heard him in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Okay.
He was Marvin, the depressed robot.
He's the robot in? Okay. Mark the Creep, who uses the wedding video of his friend as spanking material, is played by Andrew Lincoln. Sarah, the employee of Alan Rickman, who can't find love because her brother is crazy, is played by Laura Linney. Both George and I have seen her in The Truman Show, and I've seen her in The Savages and Nocturnal Animals. Sam, Daniel's stepson with the dead mother who is in love with a girl in his school, is played by Thomas Brody Sangster.
And I've seen him in Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. Now, people, buckle in because Joe wrote an 1,800-word summary. It is the longest summary he has written since he started doing this part of the show.
Indeed. Well, what can I do? There's a lot of characters and a lot of shit in this movie, so I tried to get it all in. Alrighty. This story takes place in London after 9/11. Look up 9/11 if you don't know what that is. Weirdly, while the film opens with a voiceover by Hugh Grant, who plays the UK Prime Minister in this film, referencing the September 11th terror attack, there is no further nod to the tragedy nor the war that came after. Why? Because this is a sitcom, that's why.
A rom-com.
A rom-com. Terror attacks are a real downer, and this flick is strictly light entertainment with little to no basis in reality. Okay. The movie is a series of vignettes covering the lives of people who fall in and out of love, but mostly in. It's weeks before Christmas. Billy, an aging rock star, is recording a love song that is being turned into a Christmas tune so it can be sold in time for the holiday and help resuscitate his career. As anyone in the entertainment industry well knows, that's not how Christmas songs are made, nor Christmas TV specials or Christmas episodes of TV shows. In fact, unless the thing is live, all Christmas-related programs are done during the summer. Any new Christmas song will be released in September, maybe October. Nobody's waiting 5 weeks before Christ's birthday to create stuff related to it. Retail stores can barely restrain themselves from taking down Halloween decorations to start begging for your Christmas cash. Fuck Thanksgiving. Christmas songs have a very obvious sell-by date, so between October and December 25th. You need to have that recording out so as many people as possible can buy it. Once January hits, to quote Melania Trump, who gives a fuck about Christmas?
Did she really say that?
Yes, look it up, folks. I did not make that quote up.
I believe it.
Out of her mouth. Did it make a difference to the voters of America? No.
Nope.
Anyway, Billy knows his song is shit. His manager, Joe, knows it's shit.
Mm-hmm.
This is a strictly cynical attempt at relevance, which by the end of the film works.
Mm-hmm.
This is a rom-com. Before the movie is over, Billy has to turn out to be in love. And he is. It turns out he is in love with his manager. His manager shares the same feelings. Does that mean they kiss or anything remotely gay? Fuck no! The two guys have a manly hug, then agree to watch porn together. Okay, I guess that part is kind of gay.
All right, do you go back to them at any point to talk about them?
We will be talking about them, yes. Why?
Okay, because I just want to point out that up until the end of the movie, Billy treats his manager like shit. Constant fat jokes. Like, constantly putting him down for his appearance. It never ends. He does it every reference to him. Every time he looks at him, he says something disparaging about his appearance. And then at the end of the movie, oh, I love you. Let's watch porn together.
To be fair, as I remember the character, Billy seems to put a lot of things down, so that may just be his nature. That's why Joe doesn't take it too serious. Like, he puts his own recording down. He puts down his own career. The man, it just puts everything down. So it's like, after a while, he's not turning around and then saying he's in love with everything, nor is everything in love with him back. No, but he does turn around and say it to Joe. But you mean?
Yeah, and Joe was part of the everything that was being disparaged. Doesn't make sense for him to actually be back in love with him.
We'll talk about it. Meanwhile, in another part of the movie, Juliet and Peter are getting married. At the wedding is Mark, the best man. Also, there are Jamie and Sarah, who are guests. Mark is in love with the bride and takes videos of her that he edits and keeps for his own collection. Mark is actually a creep, but the film will insist he is a nice guy. What's more, Juliet would not be freaked out by him even after viewing the wedding tape. Even crazier, Mark will show up at the house of these two newlyweds with cue cards professing his love for Juliet, and she will not freak the fuck out. In fact, she will think it's sweet and kiss him on the cheek because this movie was written and directed by a man.
I could have sworn she kissed him on the mouth. Maybe not
cheek.
Open mouth, but...
No, cheek.
Okay.
Jamie will sneak out during the wedding's reception to see how his sick girlfriend is doing. It turns out the only thing she is sick of is Jamie, who catches her having an affair with his brother. You think this will be a plot point all on its own, but it's not. In fact, later in the movie, Jamie visits his family during Christmas without ever mentioning his brother being with his girlfriend. Something I'm pretty sure would have been a source of family tension were this a better film.
Mm-hmm.
Heartbroken over the betrayal, he goes to stay in a French cottage. You see, Jamie is a writer, but unlike writers in real life, he is wildly successful. I have no idea what type of stuff he writes, but it can't be very good since Jamie is an idiot. We know he's an idiot due to his 1, writing on a typewriter in 2003 rather than a computer, and number 2, because he writes outdoors on a windy day near a lake, guaranteeing his manuscript is going to end up in the water, which it does.
Mm-hmm.
In any case, Jamie has a Portuguese cleaning lady named Aurelia. She doesn't speak English. He doesn't speak Portuguese. Naturally, they fall in love. On Christmas, he asks her to marry him, which means after knowing a woman for less than a few weeks, this man, who never processes his girlfriend cheating on him, asks this new woman to marry him. She says yes. Why? Because the script says so, that's why.
Yep.
Moving on, Sarah, the guest at Juliet and Peter's wedding, works for Harry. We'll get into more about Harry later, but he is her boss. Like all bosses, he is very interested in his employee's sex life. He encourages Sarah to date Carl, her co-worker, and at Christmas party, she and Carl headed off. They go back to her place for sex, but Sarah's mentally ill brother calls her from the psychiatric hospital he stays at. I've known people in real life who've been in these types of institutions. They do not have unlimited access to telephones, but I guess in the UK it's different because this man calls her all the time, day or night. In this instance, he calls and interrupts Sarah's sexy time with Carl. For some reason, this cock block ruins it for the two of them forever. They never become a couple. Maybe if they didn't speak the same language, work in the same office, or were married to other people, it would work for them. But she has a mentally ill brother, and that is just too much for them to overcome.
Mm-hmm.
If that sounds fucking ridiculous to you, hey, no disagreement here. I mentioned Sarah's boss, Harry. He's the type of boss who not only shows too much interest in who his employees sleep with, but also advises the women in his office to stay away from a worker who will sexually assault them. Now, I remember 2003, and I'm pretty sure that was a firing offense here in the States, but maybe the UK was different? Was touching a female coworker's tits without permission acceptable workplace behavior in London back then? Write in and let us know. Anyway, Harry starts an affair with Mia, or sort of affair with Mia, a secretary in his firm.
Well, he tries to start an affair with Mia.
Right. Karen, his wife, finds out. At the end of the film, it's not clear if they've broken up, but their marriage is not in a good place. A quick note, Karen is played by Emma Thompson. Her performance when she discovers her husband is cheating on her is easily the strongest in this whole goddamn movie, in my opinion.
And wildly out of character for the rest of the film. And they fucking linger, like they stay there for a solid 2 minutes of just watching her emote the shit out of, oh my God, my husband is cheating on me.
But I believe that, and I didn't believe a lot of other things in this picture.
Yeah, no, it was a weird moment because it was so impactful and everything else is so fucking stupid.
Am I done? Hell no. There's an additional 206 characters left to bring up. Karen is close friends with Daniel, whose wife has just died. When I first saw this movie 22 years ago, I thought Karen was his sister. When I watched this film again for the podcast, I still thought it was his sister. To me, they act like siblings. Karen does have a brother, but it won't be Daniel. And yes, we'll get to him. But first, as I said, Daniel's wife has died. Just died. We see the funeral. Karen is there. Why her husband Harry is not is never explained. It's not even seen as odd. If my wife was friends with this couple, you would think I'd also be friends with them. At the very least, you'd think I'd ask my wife about the funeral she attended. This does not happen. Is that how it works overseas? American men can be shit, but even we have enough sense to at least fake interest in our wife's dead friends.
Kit didn't come to my mom's funeral with me.
You barely had a relationship with your mom.
I had a
contentious relationship at best.
Yes.
This is our friends, okay?
But that doesn't mean that
Harry
with friends would go.
Right, but it should at least be mentioned.
In fact, I can't really see him having friends.
At the very least, he should go, honey, how was the funeral you went to? I mean, just something. Whatever.
He doesn't say, I mean, this is part of what makes him a shit husband.
Yes, I mean,
he really doesn't have any curiosity about his wife's days.
That may be a point. Anyway, Daniel has a stepson. He even calls him his stepson. But if you ask me, as just a casual viewer and not a guy who had to do a podcast on this movie, I would have thought it was his biological child. Why he had to be a stepson, I do not know. That stepson is named Sam. He's about 13 years old. The child is in love with a classmate. Both this man and this child have lost someone close to them, but they fixate on this child's love life. Literally, the mom has just been buried, but all they can care about is Sam's love life. Even when I saw this movie the first time, I found this obsession weird. Time has not improved it.
There's nothing wrong with putting a step relationship into a movie. Like,
no, there's nothing wrong with that.
There's a billion relationships in this movie, and a lot of movies just ignore the possibility of blended families or step relationships, and everything is biological. Like, of all the things you could possibly notice and maybe dig at, I don't think that's one of them.
I'm not necessarily against them being, but it just seemed why. It just seemed to be just
why not?
Why can't it just be his son? And so, then where's the father? Does this kid have two parents who have died? I mean, it just brings up all of a bunch of questions to me, anyway. This story is wrapped up by Sam chasing after this girl in an airport. A post-9/11 airport, I should add. She, of course, loves him back. Why? Because the script says so, that's why.
Yep.
By the way...
Well, I mean, he was the drummer.
That always helps.
Yep.
Drummer,
as the drummer,
yeah.
Yep.
You were getting all the girls, I know.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, the girl he wants is named Joanna. Sam's dead mom and Daniel's dead wife was also named Joanna. I guess this is supposed to be romantic? Or something?
No, it's just a weird coincidence that they point to in the movie and be like, yeah, that's, I don't know, is it weird? Whatever, people are named things.
Quick side note, Daniel runs into a woman named Carol at Sam's school. The end of the movie will show them dating. Still with me? Good, because there's more, but I'll make it quick. Remember how I said Karen had a brother? Remember how I said Hugh Grant plays the United Kingdom's prime minister in this picture? Well, he's the same guy. He has the hots for Natalie, a woman who works in the prime minister's office. Here's an additional thing I don't understand. Natalie keeps getting called fat. Sorry, this woman looks like she is in good shape. But maybe it's different in the UK? I don't know. Write in and explain that shit. If this broad is fat, then I don't know what fat is. And I want to know what fat is. Do. I want you to show me. I want to feel what fat is.
Okay.
Moving on.
I mean, all of that was just an excuse for you to sing, and I get that. But they're calling her fat because it's farcical. Like, nobody actually thinks she's fat. At least there's only one person who thought she was fat. And it is somebody who has had a bit of motivated reasoning to be putting her down because maybe she wanted to work her way up by putting someone else down.
You're not remembering when he meets her family very briefly, they also make references to her being fat. And they
maybe
earlier in the film they talk about the size.
But I think it's a joke. Haha, she's
I hope
fat,
so.
and she's not.
I hope it's meant as a joke, because otherwise, I was like, what? All right, anyway, in any case, the President of the United States hits on Natalie, something she will apologize to David for some reason. The President's pass will cause David to change UK foreign policy and stand up to the Americans. Who knew that's what it takes?
Right?
Today, we just threatened to invade Canada and destroy NATO to get countries to cut the US out of things. Trump could have saved time by making passes that women our allies like. After a bit more nonsense, David and Natalie in the film dating each other, as if you couldn't guess. The remaining cast of characters are two people who I thought would star.
It is kind of important to point out that he had her transferred out of her job into a different job because he developed feelings for her and was like, I can't be dealing with that shit.
Right. Which, in another context, would be called an abuse of power. The remaining cast of characters are two people who I thought were porn stars, but in fact are stand-ins for porn stars. I don't know why. I can only imagine they are in this movie so it could get an R rating because they provide the bulk of the nudity. Beyond that, they add nothing to the film. And
no, one of them is fucking Bilbo Baggins. Like,
did you really want to see Bilbo Baggins half naked?
No. I mean, I have no problem seeing the other person. And not that, I mean, actually, because we did see him he didn't have a bad body.
It wasn't hideous. And speaking of adding nothing, one other character who is mentioned in the cold open is Colin. He can't get laid in the UK. So he goes to the US, where the women here immediately have group sex with him. I'm not exaggerating. He even brings a woman back from America for his friend to fuck at the end of the movie. I didn't mention a man wrote and directed this, right?
Yep.
George, I'm done. Is there anything you want to add?
Nope. I think anything else I have to say will be in the conclusions.
Okay.
I mean, I'll answer your questions, obviously, but yeah.
Well, question time it is.
Mm-hmm.
The question most asked about this motion picture is it romantic or wildly cynical? Where do you come down on that?
This movie is a hodgepodge of rom-com tropes. So almost definitionally, it's romantic in the way that movies are romantic, which is not the way real life is romantic.
Do you think, and this isn't in my list here, but it suddenly popped into my head. Do you think a film like this teaches boys a bad way to make it?
Oh, abso-fucking-lutely, yes. I've said it before. Our entire media system paints really shitty relationship dynamics as gold standards to aspire to.
I can't disagree there. But for answering the first question I asked, though, is it romantic or wildly cynical? I think it's a wildly cynical piece of...
I mean, so, yeah, the thing is, it is romantic because it is a rom-com. It is movie romantic, which in itself is cynical because it's done to sell seats, to sell the movie. And they know people will eat this shit up, so they play. It's like the fucking painting the dot on the bird's beak brighter and bigger, so that the baby bird will peck harder at it. Like, it's the same thing. It's a supernormal stimuli.
I guess. Did you also think Emma Thompson was a sister to Liam Neeson? And why is Sam the stepson? But you already answered that. Why can't it just be a biological son? You already answered that. Yep. And why is Alan Rickman not at the funeral? You sort of answered that. So did you also think brother and sister?
No.
Really?
No.
Wow. That's a dynamic I got from immediately I saw them. So you just thought they were just friends?
Yeah.
Not me. It confused the fuck out of me. Like, why is he... What? Isn't that his sister? And then the funeral. Why is he not at the funeral? It's bothered me for 22 years. Goddamn.
It was like finding a nipple clamp in the Christmas pudding, right?
Indeed. And who hasn't done that?
Right?
Should any of the characters in this movie be with each other?
The body double actors, the Hobbit and the hot chick that he was body doubling with, I feel like they came by their relationship pretty honestly.
Okay.
Like they were naked around each other a bunch and they had plenty of time to talk and they just ended up liking each other.
Mm.
So I'll give them yes.
I would agree. I think of all the characters in the body double characters probably make the most sense. The least sense, of course, is Colin, because he gets to go to America and these women for some reason. Practically the moment he gets off the plane, they're all fucking him.
Yeah.
Because they have a three-way, which is ludicrous. The second worst would have to be, obviously, Mark and going after lusting after his best friend's wife. Girl.
They are the sequel to this movie is the affair that tears their lives apart.
Can you imagine? This is what I mean by
or a really rocky transition to polyamory, which then destroys all of their relationships.
Their particular vignette is the most biggest example for me of teaching boys bad lessons, because they really think, oh, I'm going to go to these people just got married. I'm going to knock on the door.
Perv your best friend's girl, and you shall be rewarded.
With cute, I mean that. Oh, it's supposed to be so cute and romantic. No, in real life, a woman like, oh my god, what the fuck are you doing? Door slam. Like, my husband's upstairs. Your friend. What the fuck are you doing? I'm mind blown. Mind absolutely blown that that's in this movie. All right. The grossest character in this movie, of course, is Colin, the man who can't get laid but goes to the States to get a three-way. He's never punished. He doesn't grow at all. That plotline isn't even about love. It's about getting pussy. Why is it even there?
Comic relief.
But isn't that the body doubles? Aren't they comic relief?
No, again, I think they have the most genuine relationship in the movie.
But they also have the smallest part. They don't have that much to do. They're naked, then they're not naked, and some...
I mean, nobody has a lot of stuff to do in this movie. There's not enough movie for this many people to have a lot of stuff to do for anybody.
I think Karen has the most to do of everyone in the picture.
Well, yeah, because she had a solid 2 minutes of fucking actual acting.
Okay. Is the relationship between the rock star and his manager supposed to be gay representation?
I mean, it is de facto gay representation, so whether it's supposed to be or not, it is. Is it good gay representation? I don't think so.
I do wonder why. I mean, was he really, was the Richard Curtis, the writer, director of this thing, trying to make a genuine effort to acknowledge gay people exist, or?
No, I think he was checking a box for ratings.
Perhaps, I don't know. It's really weird. Like, why is that there? Now, I can believe these two would have a relationship, I guess, but you're right. It needed to be more than, because he does insult him throughout the picture, and then suddenly, I love you. And the guy agrees with, yes, I love you. Well,
he leaves a party with Elton John to go hang out with his lonely manager and tell him that he loves him. But I will say that Billy, or Uncle Billy as he calls himself, was hands down the funniest fucking person in this movie.
Oh yeah, it would have. I wouldn't mind spending the movie with him. He is fun. It's just weird. Oh, it's impossible that we saw Tony Blair expanded gay rights. Maybe in 2003, gay wasn't a thing in the UK.
No, gay was definitely a thing in the UK.
They didn't know what homosexuality was. And all right, let's put these two characters together. It's just a man tells another man he loves him. That's gay, right?
And then immediately, what do? They watch porn together.
They watch porn together, presumably straight porn. I don't imagine there's gay porn around. Two guys jerking off together, that's kind of gay, don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gayish. They don't have to touch. They do it in the fraternities all the time.
But they can touch.
Huh?
Never mind, Joe.
They can touch. They can, but I don't think they do. Although maybe they do. Who knows? Maybe they jerk each other off. We don't know. All we know is that suddenly he says he loves him, and it does. And that you are correct. It sort of comes out of nowhere. Love Actually is a holiday staple for some people. They watch it every year for Christmas. Can you explain that shit to me?
Yeah, people are fucking stupid. We're stupid, and we develop sentimental attachments to garbage all the time, Joe. That's why. That's again, this is a mishmash of 1,000 different rom-com tropes. This could actually be as close to an ultimate rom-com as you could ask for, because it's just all the rom-coms if you had them all fuck each other and make a giant hate baby.
I think there is a lot of good stuff in here. There's just buried under a lot of shit. Which I guess sort of answers the question that we have to always ask at the end of these things. Does this still work?
I'm gonna say no, because we need to show better relationships than this. If 4 out of these 8 relationships were actual healthy relationships that you could point at and be like, yeah, I understand this relationship, I'd say this movie would work. But we have 1 out of 8 relationships that makes any sense. No, we don't need more. We don't need to make any more movies like this, certainly. We don't need to keep this one around either.
It's a pretty bad film. Yeah, I don't think it works. I don't think it worked 22 years ago, and I don't think it works now. I don't know what to tell people who still love this. I don't think you're stupid, but I do think you're into sentimental trash. That's for sure. Which maybe, I'm sure if you look through enough films, you'll find something that's complete garbage that I also enjoy. So it's not unusual. I don't get this picture at all. I find it very frustrating. Too many characters. Goes on too long.
Well, you did discover something about this movie that explains some of this.
Really? What did I discover?
Didn't this start as 2 different movies that somebody fucking Frankenstein together?
Right. When I was doing your cold open where you're saying I couldn't keep track of all the characters, is true. I really could not keep up who the characters are, so I did research, and one of the things I found out is that, this is 2 different scripts that were put together to make this film. I don't know who was in which, but apparently he just meshed it together, and ta-da, I've got a rom-com, and then sold it to the studios and said, this is great stuff, and made it.
Well, the thing is, they dug these scripts up from the earth. They were dead scripts. They had been rotted, and then they stitched them together and in a lightning storm had it strike, and that's how this movie came to be.
So it's Frankenstein, actually.
Yep.
So we both agree it does not work. Sorry, folks who love this picture, but we did not. George, what's up next?
Next week, we'll be talking about Mrs. Doubtfire from 1993.
Now, I've never seen this. I assume you have.
I have.
Have you seen it more than once, or yours on the
Yes.
Okay. So it should be interesting. I am very mixed on Robin Williams, so we'll see if this is one of the Robin Williams that I actually like, as opposed to the Robin Williams I can't fucking stand. So I guess that's it for this episode. I'm Joe Dixon. Thanks for listening.
And I'm George Romacka. Thanks for listening indeed, because if a podcast drops and there's nobody around to hear it, it's just another collection of ones and zeros. Just like the relationships in this movie that don't matter.
You've been listening to Does This Still Work? Produced by Joe Dixon and George Romacka.
This content is CAN credentialed, which means you can report instances of harassment, abuse, or other harm on their hotline at 617-249-4255 or on their website at creatoraccountabilitynetwork.org.
The hosts can be reached via social media, email, or the contact page at dtswpod.com. Be good to yourself and others, because that still works.
So, there was a song. Hold on a second. I should actually know the answer to what I'm about to... I knew that I was misunderstanding something about that.
What's up? What? Yeah.
So the band wrote this song because their lead singer was having a really bad depressive spell. And it's called Shine. And it was a song they wrote to try and help their friend.
Okay.
The singer's name was Robbie Williams.
Ah, okay. I know who he is.
And when I mentioned it to Mark the other day, he said, yeah, they wrote it for and I heard Robin Williams and thought, oh, they wrote it for Robin Williams.
Well, that's not an unreasonable mistake to make.
Right. But I'm not going to, this is an outtake because this is not actually a story about a song written for Robin Williams, who is the star in Mrs. Doubtfire.
Right.
All right. Dear Abby, I'm still madly in love with my ex-girlfriend Holly. Dear Annie, I didn't care for your response to the couple... no. Hold on a second. Dear Annie, Dear Carolyn, I broke up with my boyfriend about a month ago after almost 3 years together.